Is Justin Gaethje making a mistake? Is Jamahal Hill coming back too early? And why the fuck is Bo Nickal on the main card? Mark and I are going to preview UFC 300. But before we do, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. UFC 300 is set to be one of the biggest cards of the year, if not ever. It's got 11 former and current champions on the card, 12 if you count the BMF belt.
This built for the bums.
Mark, how excited are you for UFC 300?
Very excited. I think this is the best looking card ever. And I know a lot of people have been trashing it for whatever reason, some unknown reason. But I think that this is set to be, it can't fail. Surely, with the amount of star power that you have on there, the dream fights that you've got on there, I think this is going to be the best card that we've seen for a long time. It's got finishes raw up and down the card, from the prelims right through to the main event. What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it's up there, or do you think it is the best?
It's the best in recent memory. I genuinely cannot think of any other card that's come close to this in how stacked it is. I really, really can't think of anything. It's just so good. Right? Like I said, 11 former and current champions, 12 if you count the BMF title, and then if you count other organizations, you've got Kayla Harrison from where's she from? PFL? Yeah, PFL.
What planet is it? Oh, you meant organization. All right, okay.
What did I say? What did I say?
No, I said, what planet is it? Like some sort of
Oh.
Star Trek mutant.
And so even though UFC 300 Mark is incredibly exciting, are you still a little bit disappointed by the main event?
It's not the main event itself that I'm disappointed with. It's the build-up for it. Like, let's not forget, Dana was saying it's going to blow everyone's minds, that kind of thing. And you go, well, it's a good fight, but I think everyone's got memories like goldfish because they all of a sudden forget that Dana was proposing this is going to be like a mega fight that you've never ever seen before in your life. And then we get the champion versus the guy who was the champion last year. So you go, well, it's not that unbelievable, really, is it? It's a fantastic fight, and I've wanted to see it for a while, but it's believable, Dana. Don't worry, I'm not exactly marking it on my calendar. I remember the day when Kennedy was shot, and now I remember the day when UFC 300 main event was announced. It's not quite like that.
No, it's not, is it? And it's not disappointing, like you were saying, in the sense of the fight. The fight itself's a really, really fun fight, and I am looking forward to it. But it did feel like this was the planned main event for UFC 301 in Rio, and it does seem like something has gone wrong here. Like there was something else planned, but there's been some pullouts and there's been some problems. Because Dana did say there was going to be a main event and a co-main event to be announced, and that co-main event is non-existent. That nothing got announced from that. So it's like, well, what was the plan there? Right? It's a bit weird.
I think so, yeah. You brought this up a couple of months ago. No, about a month ago when the main event was announced. And you said the co-main's still to come. I said, I don't think so. He said, no, look at these interviews, like post-fight press conferences. And he's saying, so the co-main's yet to be announced. And you're like, what? So we've already got Zhang versus Yan Xian, and we've already got the BMF belt on the line. We've just had the light heavyweight title fight announced, and we've still got the co-main event. It's like over-promising. I wouldn't say under-delivering, but you know what I mean? It was an over-promise, and you think, maybe something has or will spill out into 301, but it's got to be spruced up because that card is looking terrible at the minute.
God, I mean, we'll have to do a video on that down the line, but 301 looks terrible. I mean, it's great that Aldo's coming back, but I'm not interested at all. But we'll talk about that, in a couple of weeks' time or something. So, with this main event, Mark, Jamahal Hill was injured under a year ago, right? It's not even been a year. Do you think he's rushing back a little bit too early?
Well, it was his ankle, wasn't it? Obviously, it was bad enough for him to vacate the belt instantly, which you've got to tip your hat to him for. John Jones, you could learn something from him and Yuri Prochazka. But we don't really know the extent of the injuries. As fans, Jamahal probably won't go into too much detail. Oh, so I had surgery on this part of my ankle. I'm not a doctor, Dwayne. It's probably very clear about that. So you think, well, if he's fit and healthy, then fair enough. I don't think he would, because he was on an absolute storm. I don't think he would want to throw away all them chances just to headline 300. If he didn't think that he has a proper shot at knocking Alex Pereira off his throne and becoming the two-time light heavyweight champion, I don't think he would take it. Jamahal Hill's no joke. and he didn't get there by potluck. He got there through sheer knockout power and grit and determination. It was unfortunate timing, but now he's back, and I think that we're going to see a resurge in Jamahal Hill, and I think he's going to come out with a vengeance. I've actually sold myself that fight as well. Like I said, I was excited for it before, but you've got him versus the touch of death in Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable fight.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's such a fun fight. And I think a lot of people are doubting Jamahal Hill more than they should. I think people forget how dangerous this guy is, But I am concerned that EA is coming back slightly too early because he said before, he said he won't be back to training until June. And then so we could expect him to see in July, late in the summer or early in the summer. I don't know. I don't know my seasons. I'm an idiot. But that sort of time. So I think he has rushed back just a touch too early. But if Dana White's shaking a big pile of cash at him, just come back, right? So what? Get a big pile of money, have a go. What's the worst that can happen? Well, you get battered by Alex Pereira, but it is what it is.
Small price to pay for the chance at being a two-time champion.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to take that opportunity, haven't you? Because, that division can move forward so fast. So if that opportunity is there, you have to take it. And then, Mark, in the co-main event, we've got Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. And, I've mentioned this a million times. Zhang Weili is my absolute favorite fighter. And I love seeing a fight. And I do think this is going to be a fun fight. But do you think they missed an opportunity here to make a super fight with Alexa Grasso versus Zhang Weili?
I'd love to see it, and I'd love to have seen Zhang go up a weight. I think she's probably completed her weight class now, apart from Rose, but we won't bring that up, Dwayne. And it's but her versus Yan, it's a super fight in itself. It's China versus China, and I don't think that's ever happened before, has it? Maybe not in the women's division anyway.
Well, probably in China, but no, not in the UFC.
Yeah, UFC, I mean, yeah. I don't mean any fight that's ever been.
I am winding you up.
but yeah, I think it's a super fight in itself because you have got that. I think this is the last one though, because don't forget with Alexa Grasso, they kind of have to finish that trilogy with Valentina. So they've got that going on as well. But after this, I don't think anyone's expecting Yan to come out on top. There might be a few lovers, but I think Zhang's just proved time and time again that she is the dominant champion in that division.
100%.
And then once she moves on after this, I don't think she doesn't have any other reason to stick around in this weight class now.
No, I agree.
Tissues for a different reason, by the way. I do excuse me.
Yeah. Ignore Mark's sticky tissues in his bedroom.
Just wanted to make that clear just throughout the video. Got a nose like Rudolph.
Yeah, for Zhang, there's not much left in that division, is there? I mean, there's Suarez there, but she's injured all the time, so that seems like an unlikely fight to ever happen. And the big problem is Grasso and Shevchenko are going to be coaches on the Ultimate Fighter. So I get why Dana's not booking this super fight, because if you do, and you do Zhang versus Alexa Grasso, and then Zhang beats Grasso, then you've ruined your whole tough series or whatever. So I get why they're not doing it. It's just a shame because they both seemed keen on doing it, and it could have been a fun fight. But it is what it is. And then Mark, now we have the people's main event: Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt. I'm not sure why, but I'm kind of warming up to this title now, and I think it's because it's finally getting defended.
I think you could put any kind of title on the line to this fight and it could sell. Call it the CTE belt, call it the brain damage belt, and this fight would sell. It's Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. A lot of people have been wanting this fight for a while, wanting Max to jump up, and now we're finally getting it. I don't care what belt's on the line, as long as these two are knocking lumps out of each other. It's going to be great. And I mean, I'm of similar stature in the BMF. When it first got announced, Nate versus Masvidal, remember that was the main event it was in 2019, wasn't it? And you feel like they almost just threw any old thing on there to try and give the main event a little bit of prestige. And you're like, I remember it being announced, the ref, I think it was Dan Mergliata, and he said, the baddest mother effer in this room. And you're like, oh, you're that bad, you can't say it. It's just like... It just reeked of like lame. It was just terrible. Yeah. But now, it might get defended a little bit. So you think, have it floating around as a bit of it's like the Intercontinental title. It's the B-list title.
Yeah, and it is the B-list title, isn't it? It really, really is. But, it felt like when it got announced before, we could have had some fun with it. You know, Jorge versus Nate, and then Jorge, you know, fought all these guys, but he never defended it. Why was it not up against when he fought Gilbert Burns, when he fought Colby Covington? You know, why did he not defend that belt? That's the whole point. It just felt like a pointless belt. Whereas now, at least we're getting a defense with it, right? And then if Justin beats Max or if Max beats Justin, we can get more matchups with that. But Mark, with how Justin Gaethje with this belt, do you think he's making a mistake fighting Max Holloway, or do you think he could have just waited out just that bit longer and he could have fought Islam Makhachev in June for the real gold?
As a greedy fan, I'm kind of bored of fighters waiting out for opportunities. Colby Covington ruined that for me. Waited out for the best part of 2 years in order to put on a lackluster performance. Justin, I think he said it after the Rafael Fiziev fight. He's like, I'm going to make one more run at the title, and that's me probably done. Because the amount of damage that he receives in fights, he gives out a lot as well. But you think this fight, yeah, fair enough. Keep going for this. And if he loses, I don't know if that'd derail him completely, because you could pluck Justin Gaethje out of anywhere and throw him in for a title shot, and he probably deserves it. He's very, very consistent. And when he does lose it, he brings it back straight away, doesn't he? Whereas, I don't know, because Islam needs to actually defend against a lightweight now. I'm getting kind of, I think it's because when someone's a champion, you notice inactivity a lot more.
Yes.
Because you think, well, we want to get all these fights going, want to see more of these. And Islam, I'd love to see him come back after Ramadan, and he needs, for me, I'd love to see him fight twice this year, but I'd probably look at unlikely.
He has to fight twice this year, right? Once in the summer, once in the winter. He has to. If he's going to be an active champion, he's got to be fighting at least twice a year. And it, unfortunately, it feels like now that Usman's out of the picture, maybe Volk's out of the picture. Oh, hurts me to say. And Izzy's out of the picture. That sort of era of the active champion is now behind us, unfortunately. And it's such a shame.
Help us, Alex Pereira. You're our only hope. he is very active, isn't he? I can't knock him. I was dubious about him before because you think, oh no, he's getting pushed just because of Adesanya, that kind of thing. Prove me wrong. Shut me up right away. Love watching him fight. Touch of death. It's great to watch.
100%. And that's the good thing. At least he's active, but it does feel like the other champions not so much.
Well, you've got the heavyweight champion in John. Oh wait, no, you don't.
But sort of let's going back to the BMF, and we've got Max Holloway moving up to 155, and he is looking massive. He has put on a lot of size for this fight with Justin Gaethje. Do you think now, though, that he's going to stick to 155, or do you think we'll see him go back to 145?
I think the only fight that would interest me is him versus Ilya at featherweight, or maybe even Josh Emmett. And that's about it. But I say them two names, and you go, well, yeah, Mark, because they're the only two that he hasn't bloody fought, really. Yeah. And you go, well, you can't stay there and clean out the entire division, can you? Max has proved that he's one of the best. He's absolutely fantastic. Who doesn't like watching Max fight? Cardio endurance, fantastic striking and boxing, put on clinic performances against Calvin Kattar, Brian Ortega. Got unfortunate with Volk a few times, but I'd like to see Max make a run at 155 now. Win, lose, or draw. He's done it before, twice with Dustin. No, the first one was at featherweight, wasn't it? But he came up previously. I think there's so many more fun fight opportunities for Max at lightweight. I don't think he's got anything left to prove at featherweight. That's just me, though.
I agree 100%. And now that he's putting on this extra size, it's going to make it much harder for him to come down to 145 because, it is a difficult cut for him. And don't forget, 155 is a difficult cut for him. He was supposed to fight Khabib for the title. And then the weight cut was so poor, they pulled the fight, didn't they? Sorry, Max.
Forgot about that fight, honestly. Khabib's cursed, though. Khabib's cursed. The fights that happened.
I know, it's ridiculous. But I really think Max could make a good run in lightweight, and we could see him chomping at the bit for a title quite soon, because I actually think a lot of people are underestimating him in this fight with Justin Gaethje. I think people are forgetting how good Max Holloway is. Of course, Justin's very, very dangerous, and we will go over our predictions in a couple of weeks. So make sure you subscribe for that video. Or I have 100% pick rate.
Tune in for that.
And then we have Charles versus Arman. But Mark, Charles Oliveira has already got a cut under his eye, and we're a few weeks out. Are you getting fed up of Charles Oliveira? And it's hard to invest in his fights now, isn't it? Because, unfortunately, he's now a pull-out merchant. Twice last year he pulled out, and I feel like this is going to happen again for 300.
Well, I never really actually clicked onto this until the Islam rematch was supposed to happen in October. And then when it happened, and I think you'd mentioned like the amount of times he pulls out, I'm like, what? Does he really? And you have a look and you're like, oh, actually, yeah, it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, injuries happen, but it's whatever the reason, I'm not blaming anyone. It is frustrating to see. Like Paulo Costa, he's another example. You don't believe that Charles or Paulo is fighting until he's actually locked in the cage and Bruce Buffer's announced his name, and there's still time.
Oh,
Like if he does a cartwheel or something, and you're like, oh no, he sprained his wrist.
No, well, Charles has to survive another cut man throughout his training camp, and he's still got to make weight. Don't forget, he's got a history of missing weight at 45 and 55, and it's such a shame because I love seeing Charles Oliveira fight. I really, really do. But he needs to be more consistent in his training now. Well, I guess he is consistent because he's always getting cut. So yeah, I guess I'm wrong there.
No, just as in like preparation, I guess. I'm
Yes.
not anticipating. I'm not saying or speculating. Oh, I know what to do or anything like that. But it is frustrating because you look forward to seeing a Charles Oliveira fight, but when he inevitably pulls out, you're like, ugh, who's the replacement then? It's just irritating to watch. Who was his last fight? Was it Beneil? That was a while ago now.
No, who was it? I can't remember. Was it Beneil? Let me have a quick.
I think it was Beneil Dariush. Because I'd said to you it was a round one finish, wasn't it? And it was his head kicks and his striking.
Yeah, it is Dariush. Yeah, sorry.
It's crazy that was a while ago.
Yeah, for some reason I thought there was a fight in between.
No,
Yeah, well, that
meant
was
to be
June.
Islam.
Yeah, well, that's June 2023, so it's not far off a year. It's such a shame because he's such a fun fighter. I just wish he could be more active, and actually get into the octagon. But Mark, opening up the main card, we have quite a weird one. Bo Nickal is on the main card. Do you find this strange, and do you wonder why he's not on the prelims?
With Bo Nickal, it's just sorry, excuse me. with Bo Nickal, it is a strange one because he's a fan favorite already, and he's had only a handful of fights, but it's the name value and it's how he's dismantling these fighters. I think it is a little bit of a snub for him to be on the main card, but at the same time, Sean O'Malley was on the main card when he wasn't even ranked a few times, and you think, well, if it sells, then who really cares? They're a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But you continue looking down the card and you go, Aljamain Sterling's on the prelims. His last fight, he was the champion. And you think, wow, this has changed. But depends what you sell, though, doesn't it? Bo Nickal, his last one was it that Valentine?
Val Woodburn, wasn't it?
Who's Valentine? I don't know where I got that from.
I don't know.
But, where he said, he says, wait until you see my hands. He's like, oh, no, well, he was a former champion at next minute. Oh, no, 33 seconds in or something. We were just, the reaction video of us there, and we're not even shocked. We just laugh, don't we?
It's so funny. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you in the sense of I don't care enough. Like, of course, I think it is a snub to Yuri and to Aljamain, but I still get to see those fights. I'm not too bothered what order they're in. And for Aljamain and Yuri, they just get to go home early. They don't have to sit around. They don't have to wait.
I guess, yeah. Early dart for me.
Yeah, lovely. Finish early in the office. Nice. Go home, have a cup of tea. Lovely.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. It's just like when we finish work early, have a quick coffee on way home, as he's on the tram home or something. Yeah, all right.
But and I also think it's a bit strange how everyone's sort of giving Bo Nickal crap for this. Bo Nickal does not get to decide where he is on the card. He's no decision in this. If you're sending hate at Bo Nickal for this, that's on you, mate. It's not his problem. He ain't got anything to do with it. It's insane, isn't it?
It's the same way. But then you go, are these the same fans who were on the Hamzat Chimaev hype train when he was demolishing everyone? You go, well, when he got put on the main card against Gilbert Burns, he doesn't deserve it. You're like, but you'll tune in, and it was one of the best fights of the year.
100%. That's the thing, isn't it? It's too, it's too flippant, isn't it? people are just so biased in their sort of favorite fighters rather than just looking at how it is, because this kind of thing happens all the time. Like, don't forget Paddy at the start of last year, or was it the end of last year? Whenever it was, he was co-main event and
Jared
everything.
Gordon, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Wow.
But these things happen. It's just get over it. Stop crying. But, sort of on the topic of these prelims, Mark, we have 6 former UFC champions. And if you take just the prelims on its own, that could be a pay-per-view. It really could. It is stacked. Are you shocked how stacked this is?
Yeah, and I'm more shocked at how people are still saying like, "Oh, it's a bit of a lackluster card. It's trash." You're like, are you for real? Did you start watching UFC last month? This is ridiculous. And I think, is it opening up the card in general? It's Cody Garbrandt and Davison Figueiredo.
Yep,
Let's
first fight of the night.
let's not
Cody
forget who
Garbrandt.
Davison is. And I know a lot of people like to hate on Cody, but I really love him. I really love him. I love watching Cody fight. This is a bit of a dream fight. We'll be live streaming this entire event. It's going to be a long night.
We're going to be knackered.
That is going to wake me up though. That fight, don't blink in that fight.
No.
Throughout it, you've got, like you say, Aljamain Sterling going up fighting Calvin Kattar. You've got Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. There's so many fights, and you just think every single one of them I'm invested in. There's no
100%.
piss breaks.
No, not a single piss break. It is a fantastic card, literally from top to bottom. And I genuinely can't wait. And every single fight's so exciting. Like you're saying, we're invested in all of them, and they're all going to be so fun. And I do find it strange where some people are talking about UFC 299, saying that's a bigger card than 300. I genuinely think you're insane. If you think that, there's something wrong with you,
Well, I mean, everyone was sort of comparing, but I think it's literally just because we had 298, 299, and then finally 300. So it was like a runway in an airport.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, everyone can sit and argue about which one's better. I'm like just sat there thinking, I think they're all 3 of them are great. Let's just sit there and tune in, because one day this matchmaking isn't going to happen. Make the most of the fight as while they're still here. Like we're saying with Volk, obviously he got knocked off by Topuria, and you go, well, enjoy the day while they're here rather than sitting around complaining. Just enjoy it.
I agree. 100%.
We all do that. We're all hypocrites, but in the sense of like, just like to watch the fights. That's it.
Definitely.
I'm here for entertainment.
Well, and now, Mark, I'm about to make a hypocrite of you now, and we're going to move on to a bit of complaining. Have you seen the poster for UFC 300? It is dismal, right? Normally, I don't care about posters. I'm really not interested, whatever. But this is shockingly bad, right?
Well, I'd seen it a few months ago, 300, and I thought it was one of them like really poor, like sort of journalists' attempt at like, trying to make it look official. Because I think I was going to edit a video using that, and I thought, nah, I can't use that. No, I'll just say UFC 300. And then when I'd seen that this was the official one, I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
someone's been using paint, and it's their first day on the job. Talk about lying on your CV. What the hell is that? It looks like a child's drawn it, and you think, get some faces on there, get the fights on there, rather than just a gold flag. And then you've got what, like just jagged. It's like trying to write with a pencil when you're in reception.
Yeah, it is terrible, isn't it? The only reason I kind of slightly like it is if I was going to the event and I got one of the posters, because with that simple gold plain design, you could get every fighter's signature on there, and that'd look wicked. That'd look really, really cool.
Again, the only time I'd like that is if I was at that event and I met every single one of the fighters. I think the poster could be a piece of dog turd, and if you met every single one of the fighters, the poster would be good, Dwain.
Good point. Good point. But but in the sense of, I think it would look cool with all the autographs on. But it is genuinely a terrible poster, isn't it? And I'm confused why they've done it. But even though the poster might not be great, the event certainly will be. And I genuinely cannot wait for this card. That's been our preview of UFC 300. Thank you for watching. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.